Hey everyone! This is so nice.
Hey, you managed to change your background between waving and now, and I managed to change into a shirt between waving and now. So imagine that.
Yeah, this is amazing, isn't it? I'm so happy that we're here and that we're doing this session.
Here. I've been waiting for this for 2 weeks or something. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yes.
So let's get started with this session on implement real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric. But before heading into the content, Valerie, I have one question for you. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Valerie. I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP from the Netherlands, and I love data. I love to create insights from data, visualizing data, all the fun stuff. And if anyone wants to look me up, lots of social media there. Who are you?
I'm me? Oh, I'm so nice to meet you, Valerie. My name is Brian. I am, funny enough, also a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, working with the data sphere for 25 years, plus something. And yes, I'm old. It looks. I'm on LinkedIn at this link here, Brian Bonk. I have a blog, decode.bi, if you want to try to read my mind. And I just released, is this a week and a half ago, a KQL reference guide, and fits perfectly into the topic for today of real-time intelligence, because in real-time intelligence, we need to use the KQL, the coastal query language. So head on to kql.how and find your reference guide for writing your KQL queries.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But we are not alone. We are not alone. We have moderators with us. We have Damian and Prati ready to help you live with all your questions on the chat. But the chat and live questions is only live because there's a live word in it. So if you see this on YouTube afterwards, the questions will, I don't know where they will end up. But right now you have a unique opportunity to get live help from Damian and Prati. Big shout out to them because they are actually doing all the work for us. Valerie and I, we're just showing the slides and having a cozy discussion, where Damian and Prati, they are really into a task for these next 58 minutes or something. We are on a series of sessions here. I was so lucky to be the fallback for Tuesday last week, where I was with Askia on the Getting Started with Data Engineering Microsoft Fabric. And between Tuesday and today, we had ingest and managed data in Fabric with Data Factory and notebooks. Wow. And today, implement real-time intelligence Microsoft Fabric. We got a whole lot of content to show you. And tomorrow, data warehousing in Fabric. And next week, CI/CD, monitoring and security. Microsoft Fabric administration governance, perhaps something you should look into if you want to hear if you want to get the DP-700 certification. And 2 Q&As, prepare for the exam day, where you just can ask all the questions that you have and then get started. Valerie, do you have the DP-700?
Yes, I have.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. You have it too, don't you?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
So, was it tough?
I would follow the series, then it's not tough. If you watch this,
you will
do
it. Around Fabric, we also have the what's that called? Microsoft Fabric Community Conference in Las Vegas at MGM Grand. I was there last year, so lucky to be invited. It's a killer of a conference, really big. And this year they have, I heard they have not acquired, but they have made sure that we could be at a big stadium or something. So
wow, that sounds amazing. And I see there's some discount.
A discount code. Oh,
yeah.
Use code MSCOST for a $150 discount. And prices go off February 11th. That is today. So you have only a few hours left to buy a ticket.
Be fast.
Yes. And I think we have more discount codes.
Yes, we have an amazing discount code for this exam. So everyone that wants to get certified, you can get 50% discount. Make sure to use that. This is limited. It ends end of March. So use it now. Follow the series and then try this exam.
Yes. And it should be quite easy. Just fill out this form and then you get the discount code. So.
Yeah. Yeah, like we said at the beginning, this is live. If you're looking at right at this moment, this is live, interactive. Say hi in the chat, ask all your questions. We will try to have some time at the end to also answer some questions. So this is the moment. If you want to know anything, now you can ask it.
Yeah. And if you are lucky enough, your question will be passed through to us to be answered live later on today. So keep on hitting us with all your questions, and 1 or 2 or 3 of them, it depends on time, will be passed on to be answered live here on stage. So.
Yeah. So let's get started. We want to implement real-time intelligence, don't we? So
Yes, we do. I do.
Yeah. What we cover today in this session, we will really briefly, shortly cover what DP-700 is about and why Microsoft Fabric is excellent for data engineers. And then we will really dig into like what's real-time analytics in Fabric, how you can use these event streams, how you can work with the data, how you can visualize it in a dashboard, which is awesome. And of course, we will give you some practical tips at the end.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get started with the DP-700 overview. What is it all about and why is it here? Because DP-700, it's only 100 points or numbers, digits, whatever you call it, away from DP-600. Well, it has a reason. It's because it is something else, and it is actually also more. It's still on the intermediate level, but now we change from analytics to data engineering. So the DP-700 is only for engineering, and DP-600 is for analytics. But data engineering in Microsoft context is actually also about securing, governance, control, workspaces, capacities, all that stuff. So it's not only pipelines and notebooks, it's also all soft things around that. And in order to pass, you need to also know about SQL, PySpark, the Coastal Query language, and perhaps also another 3.3 letter shortening called DAG, Dynamic Acyclic Graph. But that's for a different session. In depth, it is evenly distributed between implement and manage, an analytics solution, ingest and transform data, and monitor and optimize an analytics solution. And this monitor and optimize was perhaps for me the hardest part, because I tend to get other experts in to help me with all the optimize and governance and all that stuff. So what about you? Where was your troubles?
Yes.
Or problems?
Monitoring and optimizing, that's
You
my
too.
trouble. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
If you wonder, there was a data engineering certificate.
Yes.
There was DP-203. DP-203, the Azure Data Engineer, will retire end of March, which will be perfect timing because now you still have this voucher for 50% discount to get the DP-700. Microsoft will go forward with DP-700, focusing on Fabric. That doesn't mean that everything you've learned for DP-203 isn't valid anymore, but we will move forward with Fabric. So it's good to know DP-203, it will retire.
Yeah. But if you know 203 and you have that today, the path to be on DP-700 level is not that big as if you have nothing. So
exactly.
You can use a lot of it. Perfect. So introduction to Fabric. I hope that the attendees, most of them have seen this, because Microsoft does a great deal of showing the next slide here, where Fabric is not one service. It's an umbrella of service, a palette of service that you get when you enable Fabric. And to enable Fabric, you just move one ticker in Power BI and boom, you have Fabric. In Fabric, you have Data Factory, where we can begin to integrate Power Query from Power BI. It's not Power BI, but it's Power Query. And we can also use Azure Data Factory to move and transform data. Engineering, we have the Spark platform with notebooks and all that stuff that you can do there. So Scala, PySpark, SQL, all that stuff. Warehousing, the data warehousing, where we have a SQL lookalike endpoint, and where you can also use all your SQL skills for functions, procedures, views, and all that stuff. Science, data science. Data science is where we have machine learning, and where we again need to use Spark to train the AI model. And I think we also have some built-in governance in data science, but that's a different session, I guess. And real-time intelligence. The red icon, the red lightning, because this goes lightning fast. It's extremely fast. It is what we're going to cover 2 days, so hang tight and let's see what we can get out of it. And Power BI. Do we have anyone in this session who knows Power BI, Valerie?
Probably
You?
me. Yeah, I love Power BI.
I'm joking. Power BI all over the place. Visualization, DAX codes, yeah, you name it, you got it. If you need help, Valerie is your person. Underneath all these services, OneLake, of course, to store all your data from all the services except one, real-time intelligence, but we'll get back to that in just a minute. Because all the other ones are storing data in OneLake by default. If you need data in OneLake from real-time intelligence, we need to do something. On top of this, we have the SaaS product experience, the security governance, computer storage, and business model. It's a unified experience, and it is actually easy to get started. Just click it and you're good to go. OneLake, it's Microsoft, as I heard it the first time, it was your OneDrive for your data, where you have all your data stored in OneLake in Delta Packet files and open source, and you don't have to move data to share. You can just share it where it is, and then people can read it when they need it. So that's perhaps the biggest rundown of Fabric I've ever done. But we need to move into real-time intelligence. The engineering in Fabric is also, well, lakehouse all over the place. And when clients ask me, hey, how do I choose between lakehouse and warehouse? Well, you can fit a house on a lake, but not a lake in a house. So build a lakehouse first and then build the warehouse afterwards. That's just my point of view, but perhaps you have other meetups. I don't know. Spark Engine is updated all the time. Whenever you need a tool, well, we have VS Code, we have Power BI, we have notebooks, we have all over the place, and everything is completely integrated in Microsoft Foundation. So let's get down to business, to the real thing, real-time analytics. It's funny that we get slides that says real-time analytics because it is real-time intelligence in Fabric. The name is real-time intelligence, not analytics. If you need to learn more, aka.ms/ms learn-get-started-real-time-fabric. The best shortening service ever. I could make it shorter, but that's fine. It's fine. I also know one aka.ms/real-time intelligence, then you get to the same point. But that's up to you with what you want to choose. And those characteristics of real-time intelligence solutions. Real-time intelligence as a service is built for streaming data, for time series data, and for immutable data. What I mean by immutable data, well, data that you don't have to change because it is sent from a sensor, it is sent from a telemetry device, it is streamed. Perhaps you have a thermometer in your house that streams to your phone. That's real-time data. With this data, we can automatically aggregate it. We can use temporal functions on it, time window, tumbling, sliding. We will get back to that in just a minute. And we can also do real-time insights with visualizations, charts, and all the stuff. I think I saw a pie chart there, but let's not go down that road. Do you like pie charts?
No, but this is the wrong session to explain the pie chart.
Okay, all of this sounds really amazing, but the name real-time is actually not because everything is real-time. It is only near real-time. That's the public announcement from Microsoft. It's only near real-time, and that's quite fine because we don't need anything real-time. We just need it within a few milliseconds, and that is what we get in real-time intelligence.
Yeah.
So how is this implemented in Fabric? Well, there's a service for it. Just like when we got phones with only one screen, you have an app for that. In real-time intelligence, we actually have a service for it. Real-time intelligence in itself is a service within a service, and within Fabric, and within real-time intelligence, we have a palette of services. We have event stream to use to connect to your sources and to process them and to store them where you need them. We have Event House to store your data, and it accepts a huge amount of both volume and velocity and variance on your data. So just hit it with the data set you have, it will absorb it and it will store it. To manipulate and query it, we have the KQL, the Custom Query Language Query Set, KQL, which builds on top of the database to query your data and to create views and store procedures, which is not store procedures, but they're called functions. So we have a name mix up here, but I'll get back to that. We will get back to that in the session later on. Real-time dashboards, not as extensive in visuals as we have in Power BI, but we can get there because we will see the real-time dashboards. It is exceptionally good at visualizing time series data because we don't have to aggregate the details away. Whereas in Power BI, you are limited into 30,000 rows in one big visual, then you're good to go. Then it will error out of that. In real-time dashboard, it just works out of the box. Activator to listen to enable things when things goes haywire or you have an outlier, then you can start another process. You can also listen to events happening on your capacity and all the stuff. We will get back to all of these 5 elements later on in this session. I'm talking a lot, Valerie. Can you take this one?
I will take over.
Thank you.
If you wonder where can you manage all your real-time data sources, there's this real-time hub. It's if you log in, you see like this button in the screenshot. You also see it, real-time button, and it's your data hub, your real-time hub. There's just one. You only get one for your whole tenant, but that's enough. And you can see like your data streams there. You can connect quite quickly to data sources. I think you can even subscribe to Azure events, and you see your data streams and your tables there, and you can even endorse your streams there. So you can tell the rest of the company, this event stream is really amazing and we all should use it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that option. So you can do all these kind of things in the real-time hub. And when I talk about event streams, if you go to the next slide.
I can do that. There you go.
We actually see one of these streams. So people actually know, how does that look like? It looks like this, really visual drag and drop experience. We have some more information about this later on in the slides. But when I opened this for the first time, when I got started with real-time intelligence, I was like, hey, this is actually really easy. You can just click on stuff and you see preview data and ingest data, transform it and send it to a destination. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
It is.
I really, really love it because you only need your mouse to do the basic stuff and you're good to go.
Yeah.
You don't even have to know how to write code.
Yeah, and that makes it so amazing.
Yeah.
Even for me, loving Power BI and drag and drop things, I could do this. So this is amazing.
Like, exactly. But what about this middle thing? This can I point here? I can point on this one.
Oh, you can point.
The what's it called? Stock stream. I think that is where the magic happens.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's where your data gets in, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It is where the data being processed, and this is where we can begin to add value to it. We can manage the fields, we can aggregate, we can filter, we can group by, we can do stuff with the data without writing code.
Yeah.
Quite amazing.
Yeah. And once we transformed it, I think we need to store it somewhere, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you say that because the next slide is about storage. Imagine we have seen this slide before. I don't know. We have a big secret, but don't tell anyone. The data needs to be stored somewhere, and this is where the event house comes to play, and where the KQL database comes to play. The event house is your server for all your databases, and beneath an event house you have at least one database called a KQL database, Custom Query Language Database, and this is where we can save all our data. It is optimized for time series data sets, and it is also built on top of with a everything is indexed approach and a column store index storage type. So everything you do is indexed for you. Everything you do is translated into a column store index. Sorry, a column store storage type, and this gives you blazingly fast query when you begin to manipulate all the data. KQL query language is the way you begin to query, manipulate, create tables, all that stuff as you would on a SQL server. This is now just called KQL query language. It's funny because KQL query language, then we have query language twice, but that's just me being, I don't know, detailed. But it is called the Kusto query language, and it is the thing, perhaps the most important thing that you need to learn in DP-700 in order to pass it, because there are questions with KQL syntax, without giving away what it is, but there will be. The query sets are just stored versions of a query. It is stored in a notebook manner. It is not a notebook, but it's a notebook manner. You can store your setup, you can store your queries, you can store whatever you need to store in a KQL query set. It's just a stored notebook. And of course, no service in Fabric without AI assistance. We have Copilot all over the place. If you need Copilot to write your Kusto query language, well, begin to chat with it. And the Copilot for real-time intelligence is actually content aware. So you can chat with it and say, hey, the result you just gave me, can you change it to something? And then it will be content aware on what you just told it. So it is quite amazing. Quite amazing. We have a question from the audience, a live question. Should we take that? Are you ready, Valerie?
Let's do it.
What are the trade-offs for using event stream versus ingesting directly in a KQL database? Do you know that?
I will need you to answer that, Brian.
I can try. There are different opinions on trade-offs. I don't think you should call it a trade-off. I think you should call it as a different way of sourcing your data into the KQL database. The event stream is perfectly for out-of-the-box sourcing of data. The event stream can source data for CDC, change data capture, for all the services, databases in Azure. You can source from Event Hub, different MQTT environments, Kafka environments. All that stuff is built into the event stream, streamed directly into your KQL database. You can also stream directly to a KQL database with an open API, or sorry, that's not an open API, but it's an API. You can store data to, and you can also, without ingesting data to your KQL database, you can create a shortcut. And we recently got accelerations of those shortcuts, so now we get blazingly fast query time on those shortcuts also. It will be covered a bit later on, but not as extensive as I just told you. So I wouldn't look at it as a trade-off, more of a selection of ways of getting data into the Kusto database, because it is what you want it to be. Event stream is ease of use, UI, mouse clicks, you're good to go. If you want to do it yourself, you need to generate that code yourself. It's up to you. The database will still store it as fast. The database will still give you the result as fast as you could, and you will get all the same features as long as the data is stored inside that database. I hope that was good enough. Well, let us know in the chat, and we will get back to you.
Amazing.
Now, a thing which might be your home turf, Valerie.
Yeah, visualizing data. I mean, we got the data, we saved it. Now we want to visualize it. There are two ways you can visualize your real-time data. One is like in the real-time dashboard, one is in Power BI. And I love real-time dashboards because you can put your visuals in there from your query. So you write your query and you can directly say pin to dashboard. And then standard, it's a table, but then you can change it, like in this example, to a map or a bar chart or a card. And it's so easy. And you can have a refresh rate, I think, of 1 or 2 seconds even, that it refreshes continuously as your data comes in. And you can even use conditional formatting, which is my second love, where you can just color stuff. And say, hey, this is really urgent. And I mean, that's why we want to use real-time probably, because we really want to see if something's going on. And these real-time dashboards, I love them. If you want to use Power BI, like Power BI Desktop or online, you can also do that. you can just connect to the data. And then you can use like all of these visuals available, and you can do drill through and so many pages and this full report experience in Power BI dashboard. That's possible. You just need to make sure that you don't load all the data, because, well, if you have a lot of real-time data, that will not work. But you get the possibilities.
Yeah, I really like it, and also that the real-time dashboard, the canvas is not minimized to only your screen. You can go outside of the screen, both vertical and horizontal.
Yeah, you can create this awesome scrolling experience for your end user.
Scrolling experience. That's the first time I've heard dudes go through it.
They will love you. Endless scrolling. No, but you get it all on page, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it is really amazing. And as you said, the data set in real-time dashboard can be as big as you want it, whereas in Power BI you are limited to Power BI.
So. Yeah, some rows.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Anything else we forgot?
No. If you go to the next slide,
perhaps we could say that real-time dashboard and Power BI doesn't compete, because they do different things.
Yeah.
They complement each other on the various ways of visualizing and analyzing data.
Yes.
It's
different
not
use cases.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love them both.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's all good. The other thing I really like is the automated actions with Activator, because all these dashboards, they're nice, but I mean, I love my dashboards, but even I don't look at them 24/7. And if something happens, I want to get a message. I want to be informed that stuff is happening. And using Activator, we can actually define these rules that send us a message. I think there's email Teams is an option, and also you can trigger some Fabric items. But I love Teams. Like, imagine something happens, you just get a Teams message saying, hey, some value has dropped. Have a look at this. Use case could be like huge warehouse where you want to have the temperature at the same level, because otherwise things will go to waste. The moment temperature drops, you get a message and you can act. So you don't have to look at your dashboard all day long.
Yes.
You can just trust on Activator sending you these alerts, and then you can open your dashboard.
Yeah.
So that's amazing functionality.
Just a side note here, remember to create the rules correctly, because I did this once in a demo and I was flooded with emails because I set the threshold too low and I was getting emails all over the place. So please set your rules correctly. That's not funny. Even not funny. 200,000 emails in a mailbox is not funny. Just saying.
Yeah, great that you have some real world examples.
Asking for a friend. I don't know. It's funny. So let's get on with event streams inside Fabric. Real-time event streams is the source reader from source to destination, right?
Yeah, and it's this drag and drop experience. Really, you get all the stuff you can put in there, your sources. You can put in different sources. You can do all kinds of transformations, send your data to different destinations. You get so much possibilities there in a really visual way. And you can even say, I don't know if it's really visible on the screenshot, but you can say active, inactive. So you can deactivate stuff if you don't need it in between. That's just amazing.
And that's a special transformation and/or destination. I don't know what you would call it, but we can actually filter the data directly in the event streams and save the filtered data as a stream, so people can connect to the filtered data as a stream without connecting to the full stream. So this can be mind-boggling, but we can have a stream within a stream, because the main stream is collecting all the data, but we filter it and stream it out as a substream, and then people can connect to that stream and get the data. So
amazing, all the possibilities.
Yeah. But so what kind of sources can we use? Oh, wow.
A lot of sources. Really a lot. If you just got started with real-time intelligence and you think, okay, but I don't have a source yet. The last one in this table is sample data. I think we have 3 sample data sets: taxi data, bike data, and stock market data. you can just connect to. It's just available. And I think that's the best thing for everyone that gets started. If you don't have your own data, just try this sample data and try to create your stream there. Because possibilities are endless, but sometimes, especially if you get started and learn new stuff, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So
yes, it can.
Yeah.
There's also, if I may point your interest to this second to last point, the custom endpoint. If you create a custom source, and when you create your event stream, you can select a custom source, and you deploy that event stream. That actually deploys out of the box. You don't have to do anything. It deploys an event hub, it deploys an AMQP hub, and it also deploys a Kafka hub where you can send your data to, and you get the connection string and the SAS tokens directly inside the event streams. So if you don't have any data and your IT department or your IT department or your, I don't know, censoring department says, hey, we want to stream it to Event Hub. Can you create one for me? Well, sure. I'll just in event stream select custom endpoint and I get the custom endpoint with API functionality. All that stuff just works out of the box. Amazing.
That's so easy.
Yes.
It's really so easy. Yeah.
And perhaps one more comment. We have all these chains data capture, CDC. We can always connect to a CDC source, but if that source is not configured to give you the CDC, then nothing will happen. You can always connect to it, but so please, when you connect to a CDC source, even though you connect to it, make sure that the owner of that source has enabled change data capture, or else you won't get any data. Just a side note.
That's really smart. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. Destinations.
Destinations. Well, of course, you have your event house, like the KQL database. We can send it to a lake house. Again, custom endpoint, derived stream, and of course, our Fabric Activator, where you can get all the actions going on.
Yeah, exactly. So we can, without staging the data anywhere, we can just go from source directly to Activator. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's so easy. I repeat myself, but this is really easy.
It is easy.
Implementing this is really easy.
Yeah. And the destinations don't have to be, you don't have to choose. You can select all 5 of them.
Yeah, you can go for the full experience.
Yeah. If one source needs to save in all 5 places, you do that. It's the same thing. Perfect. Okay. What about transformations? What can I do?
Transformations, the stuff that happens in between. Well, we can filter, of course. I mean, I think we all know filter. Aggregate, for the people that use Power BI, probably also know it, like sum, max, min, average, these kind of things. Union, if you have the same data type and names, I think you can just union data. Yes. Expand, adding a row, join, all the common things. And one of my favorites, the group by, because you can group data by, I think it was time windows. There they are, windows. And these windows, they took me a while to understand. I'm there now. Because you can really use different ones. You have like tumbling, sliding, session, hopping, snapshot. Does maybe not tell you anything. But tumbling, for example, is you could say every 10 seconds, I want a count of data. And then after 10 seconds, I want that again. And after 10 seconds, I want it again. There's no overlap in there. And hopping, for example, there you could do it also every 10 seconds, but starting after 5 seconds again. There you have overlap. So these windows, they're amazing. You can configure all kinds of stuff and offset and duration. There's amazing documentation about it. I started drawing that stuff to understand it, but maybe I'm a little bit slow on that topic. No. But once you get it, you can do so many great things.
Yeah, and I would, if you are going to try the DP-700, I would highly encourage you to draw those temporal windows and understand them, because you might, wink, wink, get questions on temporal windows. You never know.
You never know, but drawing them helps.
Yes, drawing them helps. And you said something about expand in the transformations. That can also, what you said, of course, but it can also unfold a JSON object if you have it. If you query, if you are ingesting a JSON object and you want that in columns and beautiful and all that stuff, I wouldn't encourage you to do that. But if you want, just click the expand button and magic happens.
Yeah,
we have a question on the chat.
Yeah. Can we bring data from Event Hub directly into OneLake bypassing KQL? Can we?
Yes, we can. We can, using event streams, we can connect to an event hub or use the custom connector from the event streams, which actually creates an event hub. Query the event hub whatever way you want it, and instead of saving it to KQL, you can save it directly to a lakehouse. Saving it to a lakehouse creates delta parquet files and directly in lakehouse. Directly in OneLake. So that is actually possible. You are not forced to save it in a KQL database. You can save it in OneLake if you want to. That's fine.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah, let's get back to that later on.
Yeah. I have one more thing about these transformations, because here we see them like filter, aggregate, union, just to make sure that people understand this is also like this visual experience. You add the transformation, you just click on a button, there you get all your options, and then you can just click on stuff and it's drag and drop. So you don't need to write your own code there. It's really, really visual and easy to find the information you want and do the transformations you want to do.
Yes. You just have to know what you want to do, then you can do it.
Yeah, and you see examples of how your data actually looks like in the event stream. So it is very visual. I like that. I like to see what's going on and what's the effect of what I'm doing.
Yes, exactly. So I try to click the next slide, but nothing happens. Hang on. There you go. IT when it's best. Perfect. Working with real-time data in Event House. Now we get into trouble, because it's not trouble, but it's just different. The Event House is your server for your data, and underneath each Event House, there's at least one database. That database is called a Custom Query Language Database, KQL database, which is the physical objects where you are storing your data. And it is stored in tables. There's nothing new there. It's just stored in tables. The storage options, the storing method, storing approach is just different than in a SQL Server. Because the SQL Server, you have to maintain the indexes, the compression, all that stuff. In the KQL database, everything is handled for you. It's compressed by default. It is indexed by default. It is in column store. Everything is default for you, and you have to undefault it if you don't want that. So everything is handled for you, and it is blatantly fast. Just to dwell a bit about the compression. When you ingest your data, perhaps you have, I don't know, pick a number, 10 gigabytes of data. When you store that in a custom database, that is automatically compressed in a factor between 6 and 10. You might have different numbers, but on roughly average between 6 and 10. So if you ingest 10 gigabytes, it might only fill 4 or 1 gigabyte. So it is compressed by default, and you only pay for that compressed size. You don't pay for the original size. Perfect. And the storage payment in custom database is the same as the storage in OneLake. So $23 per terabyte per month. So that's like nothing, more or less nothing. It is something, but not nothing. To begin to query your tables, you are using the custom query language, and in the custom query language, you will be able to do whatever you can in SQL, plus more. To filter columns, we use the project keyword. The project is a keyword inside custom, and it is directly translated. My own translation is give me only these columns function keyword. So example, as you got here in bullet 3, example, project trip ID and vendor ID. I only get those 2 columns, and then I can begin to work with that. We have different options to also filter rows. In SQL, we use the where clause. Funny enough, in KQL, we use the same where clause. And you can filter on whatever you need. And it is actually more extensive in its language and its approaches than compared to SQL. It's also easier to write because it is written in a more natural language format, because the table first, and then you filter, and then you use your aggregations, then you use all that stuff. So it is way more easier, because in SQL we need to do select columns from table something something something. KQL, table name, operator, 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 result. That's it. And you can have more than one where clause in KQL. Whoa, what's happening? Oh, amazing. I'm babbling now, so let's go on to summarize. We can also aggregate and summarize the data. The easy way is just to use a summarize, and then average of fair amount. That's this example right here. But you have like endless possibilities. If we want to group things by columns, we just say summarize average column name by, and then the column names you want to group it by. You don't have to think about, oh, what do I have in my select statement? Then I need to add the group by or something. No. Use your calculation, do the average thing, and then whatever column you want it grouped by or aggregated by, just type by, and then the column names with a comma. Then you're good to go. You don't have to think, just to write what you want, and then quite often it is just that in KQL.
It's very easy and intuitive, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is very, very easy.
And I think you can learn it quite fast. Like,
yeah.
I have the data visualization background, and I learned it quite fast because it's so easy, because it's so straightforward, and it's just what you think it could be. Most of the times it is.
Exactly. If you get completely lost on the KQL, a small hint, you can also use SQL. Select star from table name also works in KQL. Not every SQL statement works in KQL, but some of them works, and then you can begin to query your data. That's just a hint. That's not a part of the DP-700. That was out of context. But just know that if you get lost in KQL, try to write in SQL. That will mostly work.
Yeah, you have this command, don't you? The explain command or something that you say explain and then.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Valerie. Go ahead.
Yeah, you write explain and then you write your SQL code, and then you get the result is the KQL, which is amazing. Exactly. Makes your life so much easier.
Yeah. So if you want to learn KQL by using your SQL, write your SQL code. When you're done, on the line just above select statement, type in explain and then execute that statement. Then the result state is no longer the data, but the KQL statement translated from SQL. Amazing. Amazing. Well, in SQL, we have views. In KQL, we also have views. We have materialized views. This is called advanced KQL features. It's a view that is always stored on disk, ready to query. It is automatically updated, and it can do summarizations, it can do joins, and it can do whatever you need in KQL. But the query and the data is always ready to be used. It is very, very effective if you want to use it for data manipulation and all the stuff, but the data is so big, so you don't have to wait for the query to execute on the raw data. So when a data is entering in the underlying tables, the materialized view is automatically updated. The underlying storage is automatically updated with the new version of the data, and then you can query that easy peasy. So materialized views can be used for the medallion architecture if you want them, but it depends on your way of working. Finally, but not least, stored functions. It's called, in this slide it says stores functions. That's not the correct name. It's just a function, a custo function. A custo function is, as I said in the beginning, in the way back at this session, stored functions is actually just a stored procedure in custo. But custo wants their own name, so now they call it a function. It still accepts parameters. It encapsulated the queries that you write, and the output can be dynamic based on the input parameters, because custo is so effective. So you can use dynamic parameterization. That's a long word. Sorry. To change the output of a function. The function doesn't have to have the same output every time. That is also one of the beauties of KQL. The output can be different based on the input variables. Highly efficient, but it is not using a pre-aggregated version of the data, so it is querying the raw data underneath the function. Just know that, and If you want to parallelize this into SQL, then it's a stored procedure. Function is just a stored procedure. That's it. Okay, perfect. We get from the production, we are just notified that we have a good pace and we have good questions from the audience when we're done. So that's good to know. Practical tips. Do you have some tips, Valerie?
I have some tips. Because, well, we want to prepare for the exam. Well, we don't need to prepare anymore, but others maybe want. And there's quite some good hands-on practice. And the first link I posted here, also no short link, I'm sorry, is like this 8-step tutorial. It was a 7-step tutorial to implement real-time intelligence. I checked yesterday, now it's 8 steps. So I have to check what this extra step is.
What is step number 8?
I don't know.
Drink coffee. I don't know.
Yeah. It's so easy. But when I got started with real-time intelligence, I followed these 7 steps back then, and it worked. I mean, that's just amazing. You follow a tutorial and it just works. Like everything described there worked fine. So everyone that gets started, that really wants to try it with some sample data, I can really recommend to follow that tutorial because it's easy and it takes you like an hour, maybe 2 hours, and you will understand everything we talked about today.
Yes.
Makes so much more sense. And there are also some study guides, and there's this Microsoft Learn course, also posted the link there, where you can read about this again. And there's also, I think, a teeny tiny knowledge check in there. And I would really recommend you to go and try the sample data that's available. Like this bike data, I use the bike data all the time. It's so easy, it's available, everyone can use it. You will find it in the real-time hub. And if you get started, data like this is just perfect because there's not too much data. There's just enough to get started. That would be my tips.
I have a few more. It's not written here, but perhaps if we shout loud enough, then our moderators will hear it. But the Kusto Detective Agency is an amazing source for learning the Kusto language.
Yes, it's amazing.
It's a complete gamification of learning the Kusto language. It's detective.kusto.io. I'll say it again, detective.kusto.io. Hopefully someone will write that in the chat so you can click on it. Sign up and begin to learn the Kusto language in a gamification way. You are the detective trying to solve problems and cases by using your Kusto ninja tricks. And don't be frightened. You don't have to know Kusto to get started. You get help to get started. I think, Valerie, you've done some of them, right?
Yes, yeah. I did all of them because it's so amazing. And I love gamification. I mean, you can earn a badge. That's enough for me. Yeah. Like the goal of earning the badge. But it's so nice because you have different levels. It's getting more difficult step by step. Yep. You get hints. It's really nice. Yeah. I love that.
And they have, is it 3 seasons now, 2 seasons? I can't remember. That depends on how you define a season. But we have season 1 and season 2, and then we have a Christmas edition. And season 1 and season 2 has a storyline to it. So start at season 1, episode 1, and then end up at season 2, episode 10, I guess. I hope. I can't remember.
Yes, 10.
And then you have a Christmas edition, which is just fun. You can, go ahead if you want to learn Kusto. Detective.kusto.io is your way to go. And also Microsoft Learn, we also forgot to add that you can have the applied skills test, where when you are done with learning all your Kusto skills, you can run through the applied skills. It's a hands-on lab where you have to do something. You get a guide, and then you answer the questions, do the stuff that you've been told, and then you are being, I don't know, scored. Is that the word? Yeah. And then you get pass, no pass. And if you don't pass, go ahead and try again, because then you will pass. It is not that hard. It is quite fun. I like it.
Yeah. I also love that. I didn't pass the first time because I didn't read the documentation, but second time it was a lot of fun.
You need to read what you need to know. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So that is actually the official part of this. We need to highlight that tomorrow we have another session on data warehousing in Microsoft Fabric. It is, I can't remember the speakers. Do you know them, Valerie?
No.
Look it up. The speakers are available on the aka.ms/dp700/s2a. And then from tomorrow morning, same time, you will get the introduction to the data warehousing Microsoft Fabric. A week later, Microsoft Fabric environments, and then Microsoft administration. And a few weeks after that, you have an open Q&A. Ask all your questions, and they will be answered. Hopefully, not all of them, because there's a lot of questions going on, but lots of them will be answered. We are running late on February 11th. There's still some hours to get your $150 discount on the ticket for Las Vegas. I haven't been to Las Vegas until last year's Fabric community conference. It was amazing. So if you haven't been to Vegas and you want to attend a conference, why not go to Fabric conference in Vegas?
Yeah. Combine it. Go to Vegas, learn some stuff.
Yep, I like it. And the discount.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer. Sign up for the discount. It's a 50%. You don't have to do anything then fill in your, I don't think is it 3 questions or something, and then you get the 50% discount for DP-700.
Yeah.
So you actually get 2 for 1. If you don't pass first time, do it again.
You will pass first time. For the people that follow this series, they will pass, I think so.
Yeah. If you follow these series, all of them, and if you miss one, you can always rewatch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Watch them, and you will be not there because you need hands-on practice, but you will get a long way in order to get the DP-700. Yes, sure. With that, the last slide for today is questions. We now have 8 minutes and 30 seconds for questions. And the first question is already in the queue.
Yeah, is event streams based on Spark structured streaming?
Ooh, good question. No, it is not. Event stream is based on 2 services being joined together. Actually 3, but I'll only talk about 2 of them. We have Azure Streaming Analytics, which is an underlying raw baseline service you can get in Azure. And we also have the Event Grid from Azure Event Grid. Microsoft has joined those 2 code bases to each other and did the magic. And based on that, we now have event streams. And event streams underneath the hood is just Azure Streaming Analytics, and Event Grid on top of each other, and then we're good to go. So it is not based on Spark. It is based on Azure Streaming Analytics with Event Grid on top of it. But Streaming Analytics is the main driver here.
Yeah, good question. Perfect. Good answer.
Sure.
So next one is, what's the difference between Fabric event streaming and Apache Kafka streaming?
Ooh, okay. Kafka is a source for streaming data, and Fabric Event Streams is a service to listen to, pick up, and handle your streaming data. So Kafka, what I understand from Kafka streaming, correct me if I'm wrong, Kafka streaming is a method of streaming data from Apache Kafka. It's an open source. And that Kafka data stream you can pick up using event streams and then read them, process them, and store them in OneLake or a Custom database, and do what you want with them. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the chat and I will correct myself later on. Perfect.
Okay. Next one. Do you need a separate event stream for 2 different JSON files coming from the same Internet of Things device?
Okay. The first answer is no. Then you can guess there's a second answer. But the first answer is no, because if you put your JSON payload, because the JSON is the JSON from an IoT device is not a file, that's a message coming out in JSON format. If you put that JSON format in just a JSON column, store it in a table, then you only need 1 event stream. And then whatever message is coming through, you just store that in a data type in your Custom database called dynamic data type. Dynamic data type can contain anything. And then when you need to query those specific messages in JSON format, you start by selecting your table, then you filter on that message type, and then you can dynamically unfold the JSON object into columns with one command. That is bag, bag, dash, unpack, bag, unpack, in parentheses, then your column. Then you have a dynamic unfold of your JSON files whenever you need them. So you only need one event stream if you can stream it into one JSON object.
Wow, what an explanation. Even,
Sure.
even the code from your head, top of your head. That's amazing. Yeah.
I've written
I'm
the rest of
amazed.
that, so I know it.
Okay, a little bit less technical question. Overall, what is your favorite Fabric experience so far?
This is for you, Valerie.
Oh, my favorite experience is real-time intelligence. No, it's the dashboards, the real-time dashboards. I love them because I just love these massive amounts of data that we can visualize them so easily, that we can use conditional formatting. I just really love this experience. And I hear so many of my clients ask for it. And now I can finally say there is a solution. And I know how to do it.
Yes. The reason why I asked you to answer, because I'm colored, I only talk about real-time intelligence in the community. So I would, of course, also say real-time intelligence, because the reason for that is it is amazingly fast. I can actually, with a good conscience, be lazy when I handle my real-time data, because I don't have to data model it. And now perhaps people will begin to scream in the chat, but you don't have to build a data model. If you have one broad table with all your rows and all the attributes in one broad table, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Just store it. The Custo engine will deliver the results to you within, if you write the Custo query correctly, within a few milliseconds. And also on trillions and trillions of rows. I promise you that.
Wow.
Oh, okay. What size tier is required to store 10 to 20 terabytes of IoT data in one lake?
Excellent question.
Do you know the answer?
I don't know the answer.
I know the answer. One lake has infinite storage. You don't have to pay for a storage tier. When you store data in one lake, you only, this is a lot of data, you pay for the storage you are using. So you don't have to prepay or select a size tier to store 10 to 20 terabytes of data in one lake. That is just store it there. It is in practical not, in practicality, it's infinite, but on the service centers, it's not. But if you break the storage tier of Azure, then I think you should get a price. You don't have to buy a size tier to store data. Just store the data that you need. I think if we twist the question a bit, then perhaps we can also talk about compute tier. In order to handle 10 to 20 terabytes of IoT data in event streams, that depends on a lot of factors. How often do they arrive? How much volume do I get per hour? And how many messages do I get per hour? So I would say an F8, F16, depending on if you get this in one day, then that's the size.
Okay.
I think we are more or less done with this session.
Yeah. I think we explained a lot.
Yep.
Had quite some fun.
Yeah, I did have fun.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And I hope that people also had a good time, and they got new insights, and they got new fun. A side note, the slides will not be shared at all. The only way you can look at the slides again is to watch the YouTube video, and then do whatever you want with that YouTube video. All the prior YouTube videos are available now, and this YouTube video will be available somewhere within a few hours after this session.
Yeah.
And the future videos will, of course, also be available when they're done.
Yeah. So people can always watch it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last but not least, a huge shout out to our moderators. I think
Yes.
I know they are doing they have enough to do answering questions in the chat. So thank you to the two of you. Really appreciate it. And I hope you weren't rolled over by questions. I hope not. And with that said, we are on top of the hour. Our seconds are done.
Yeah. Yes, thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, and thank you for attending. And I hope to see you again somewhere in the world at a conference or here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.